What's going on, guys? I'm back with another video. Today we're going inside my Criterion Collection to talk about a recent movie that I just watched, and that movie is Sex, Lies, and Videotape. Came out in 1989, directed by Steven Soderbergh. And if you've never seen this movie, you have four main characters. You have Andie MacDowell, who plays Anne. That's her right there. You have Peter Gallagher, who plays John, who's Anne's husband. You have Cynthia. You have Laura San Giacomo, who plays Cynthia, who is Anne's sister. And then you have James Spader, who plays Graham, who is John's old friend that comes into the picture. And essentially what happens is, like I mentioned, Graham comes back into the picture and gets introduced to these two women, all while Cynthia is sleeping with Anne's husband. And again, like I mentioned, Cynthia and Anne are sisters, so she's cheating on, or Anne's husband is cheating on her with her own sister, which is absolutely disgusting. I don't know how people could do that, but yeah, that's happening. But then Graham comes back in the picture, introduced to those women, and these women come to find out that what Graham does and has been doing for the past 9 years is he'll make these videotapes where women sit down with him and talk about their sexual experiences, their deepest desires. As you can see, videotaping women as they confess their deepest desires, and he'll videotape them. Doesn't do anything with the women on camera, doesn't sleep with them, just literally has them talk. They can do whatever they want, honestly, and he'll just ask them questions. Now that's happening. That's pretty much the main thing about the movie. The main conflict is the affair that's going on. And one of my favorite things about this movie was, I guess, the character development itself, more specifically with Anne, because, and you can kind of play the storyline as well. The storyline and character development go hand in hand, but specifically her character development, because at the beginning of the movie, she's in therapy. You can clearly see that she's very closed off, very shy, doesn't think highly of herself, very, very closed off, an introvert, if you must say. And to get to see her go from that to where she was at the end of the film, where she was clearly happy, clearly opening up herself a little bit, exploring what she wants, what she desires, and you can kind of see her turn into who she actually is, which is amazing because, for me, I'm putting myself in these characters' shoes and trying to experience what they're experiencing, trying to feel what they're feeling. And, like I mentioned, I'm feeling like she's very shy, very closed off. You could see that she wants to open up, but she just doesn't trust anybody. And that's when Graham comes along and changes everything for her, and honestly for himself as well, because they come into contact, they meet, and she kind of finds out that he does these videotapes. And a thing that I loved about their meeting, when she finds out about the videotapes, is you can clearly see she's uncomfortable with the idea of him making these videotapes and what they're about, because she's holding iced tea in her hand and she's standing there not moving, and it's spilling. So you can kind of see her hands like tensing up, spilling it, because she's uncomfortable. But there's that glimpse of curiosity in there that you can see, okay, maybe she's interested in making one of these. Maybe she's interested in talking about what she wants. Maybe she wants to, again, make one of these. And I love that interaction between those two. And I think from that specific point was when she started to really open up and, explore what she truly wants. And then she obviously finds out along the way that her husband is obviously having an affair, and that kind of added to her, what's the word? Added to the pace of her wanting to open up, right? She wasn't taking her time with any. She was just jumping right into things, jumping into making that video, jumping into getting a divorce. Do you know what I mean? Or wanting a divorce, right? So I think this whole point was me talking about her character development, which I absolutely loved about this movie. My favorite part about the movie, honestly. And on top of that, I think that James Spader performance was incredible. I think he nailed this role. And, you know, I think that at a certain point when I really noticed it was when they were making the video with Anne, and she almost grabs the camera and turns it around on him. And for the past 9 years, he's been the one asking the questions. He's been the one filming the women. And all of a sudden, she flips the switch, and all of a sudden, she's asking the questions to him. He's getting recorded. And you could see him be visibly uncomfortable. You could see with the facial expressions. And, you know, if I were in his shoes, I would be uncomfortable answering these questions with the stuff they talked about. And you could clearly see from his performance that he was playing it perfectly, in my opinion. So I thought that was a great touch on this movie. And on top of everything that I've mentioned, I think that another thing that I took away from this movie was the need for human connection. Do you know what I mean? Us as humans, we're social creatures. We need each other. And I think that something that was adding to Anne being closed off was that she wasn't really comfortable with her husband. She wasn't intimate at all with him anymore. She wasn't really interacting with anybody, and not necessarily on a sexual level, but on really any level with opening up. And I think that it made me realize, like, we as humans need to talk to each other. We need to touch each other, not in a sexual way for the most part, you know, holding hands, sitting together on a couch, you know, hugging, kissing, stuff like that. And it's very crucial to do that in relationships, because if you're not, then at some point you're just going to grow apart from each other. And you don't really want that, because then you start resenting each other. You start not becoming intimate. And then are you really in a relationship at that point anymore? You're just acquaintances at that point. So it kind of made me realize how important that is with relationships, because again, by the end of the movie, there was something that happens where you could see that I don't know if I want to say, because I don't want to spoil it, but she became intimate with somebody, or the idea of her becoming it, because you don't see anything, but the idea is that she was intimate with somebody, and all of a sudden it looked like she had this glow to her. You know what I mean? And you know, they kind of ended the movie with them together, and she was, you know, he was touching her arm, and she was very comfortable with it. And I think that, you know, again, because of the human touch, the human connection, getting to know somebody before, or maybe, you know, I was going to say getting to know somebody before you become intimate with them, but James Spader character there's a quote in this movie where he actually, what was the quote? It was, you can't trust anybody you haven't been intimate with. That was the quote. It wasn't, so I guess I was right with, you know, you needing to know somebody before becoming intimate with them, and then you can't really trust somebody until you become intimate with them. Do you know what I mean? So that makes sense. That's where I was going with that. And yeah, so I took that away from this movie, which was great. But overall, the story was great. I would definitely watch this again. Going into it, I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't think I was going to love it as much as I did. And coming out of it, I loved it. Again, by the end of the movie, I was smiling. Everybody got what they deserved. Not necessarily what they wanted, but they got what they deserved, which was great. And yeah, I thought, again, great performances from the characters. Really, really great movie. So let me know down below what you guys think of this movie. Did you like it? Did you hate it? If you have seen it. If you haven't, I definitely recommend it. Check it out. Great movie. Yeah, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned until next one, and make sure to keep your shelves worthy.